in. Big up to Lumi Rain. Big up Lumi for coming on again. So Lumi's saying, Gav, I love the cherry Pepsi Malbec. Makes a bottle last all night long. Yeah, listen, I told you, man. Red wine and Pepsi cherry is the one. Yeah, listen, guys, if you haven't tried it, make sure you do. But as always, big up yourselves for coming on. And make sure, guys, you smash that like button. And make sure you guys sub to the channel if you're new in here. Big up to Jay as well. Big up Jay for coming through. Guys, so listen, we're going to get straight into it. You know, obviously you guys can see the title. You know, Manchester United, obviously transfer window now firmly shut. Business that was done, you know, I think if I'm honest, I am, you know what, I'm going to give the window a 6 out of 10. You know, I think the window that has been done in terms of the incomings and the outgoings, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The reason I give it a 6 out of 10 is because I think if Manchester United managed to sign Carlos Baleba, you know, I would have given it an 8 out of 10, definitely. Because I think he was that crucial of a signing in, you know, for Manchester United in this season. But obviously that didn't happen. And again, what does that make for Ruben Amorim if he is still here? Because the way that I'm looking at it now, although I did want Carlos Baleba at the club, I'm looking at it now a bit differently because I think now the pressure is firmly on Amorim, and rightfully so, if he does stay. But yeah, I would have definitely given the window an 8 out of 10. I think if they sack Amorim, put it this way, the window for me right now is a 6 out of 10. If they sack Amorim, I'll give it an 8, possibly a 9. And then obviously if Baleba was there, I'd have given it a 10. But right now, as it stands, I'm going to give it a 6. And the only way I give the window a higher rating is if INEOS do what is required and get rid of this manager for me, you know, because again, I'm not going to change my mind. You know, this manager isn't good enough. And the quicker he gets out, the better for me and the better for I believe the team will be performing, you know, and I stand by that. So, so yeah, for me, a 6 out of 10. But I look at the fact that Baleba wasn't signed, and I think, you know what? As I said, this has put pressure on Amorim now, because Amorim now has to do what he was brought in to do, and that's make these players better. And again, I'm praying by the time the Man City game comes, by the time the international break is over, I'm just hoping he doesn't make it. But if somehow he manages to survive, you know, I don't want to hear he hasn't got his midfield or whatever. He has to somehow show that he's actually a coach. And I think, in a sense, it's quite clever what INEOS have done. You know, they've probably made it in a sense where, you know, he has been given quite a bit. So let's see what he can do with this team. And I'm hoping that's what they're looking at. Although I am frustrated that Baleba wasn't signed, you know, maybe it could be a sign of things to come in terms of what they're going to do with the manager, you know. So I'm going to remain optimistic, and hopefully, you know, INEOS do what is required. But looking at this team right now, you know, I did say start of the season with the signings, you know, when Cunha and Mbuemo were rumoured to be coming in, you know, I did say a top half finish is a must with those two players. But then obviously I did think the likes of Baleba would have come in. You know, I thought United would have been able to get like a Mateta, you know. So I did say, you know, top 6 for me was, top half finish, top 6 for me was realistic. The biggest problem that I see is, again, if this manager somehow survives, is he capable of getting Manchester United into a top 6 race? I don't believe he is. I don't believe he is. I think with Ruben Amorim, I think there's a ceiling on what this guy can do, you know. And again, I think under him, Man United are a bottom half team, and that is nowhere near good enough. I don't believe that he has what it takes, or the system is the correct system that he's playing for this team to be between top 8 and top 6. Even though the players that United have brought in the summer, you know, they are capable, in my opinion, of getting a top 6 finish in a different system. But under this manager, I just don't see how he's going to be capable of getting United into a top half finish. Because I'm looking at all the other teams, you know. If we're looking at the teams for me that are definitely going to be the top five, you're looking at Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle. That's 4 teams there already. And then you've got the likes of Tottenham under Thomas Frank. You know, you've got Aston Villa under Unai Emery. Newcastle, you know, under Eddie Howe. So that's already 8 teams. So it's going to be very difficult to try and bridge that. Those teams have all spent money, or they've all brought in players that will improve them. And I look at Manchester United with what they've done. You know, you look at, as I said, Cunha, Mbuemo. You look at Benjamin Sesko. And again, Sesko was someone that I didn't really want, if I'm honest. But Sesko's here now, you know, and as I said, Rasmus Hojlund's at the club, so it makes the signing even better. Not to mention, I do believe Sesko does have... I think Sesko's got qualities that might be, you know, underappreciated in this league. You know, so I think the combination with having him and Zirkzee as the 2 strikers, I think that will be good. You know, I think Zirkzee should be the main striker, and then Sesko should be the backup option. So, yeah, as I said, I think in terms of the firepower, again, I'm going to say in a different system, I do believe this team gets better. But I think as it stands right now with this manager and under this 3-4-2-1 system, I just don't believe this team can make the top 6. Big up to B1. So Bully04 says, from a Liverpool fan, you will finish top 6. Big up Bully04. Bully, listen, if I'm honest with you, Manchester United with the squad they have should be top 6. You know, 1 game a week. For me, there's no doubting they should be in the top 6. But under this manager and this system, you know, I don't believe they get into the top half. Because if we're struggling against newly promoted Burnley, and let's face it, oh, big up Billy, man. Yeah, big up Billy. I was looking at the name, I was thinking Bully, Billy, Barry, but no, yeah, big up Billy, man. Yeah, as I said, man, under this manager, you know, I don't see them finishing in the top half, because if we're struggling against the likes of Burnley, and let's face it, that penalty that was awarded to United wasn't a penalty, because the foul on Amad Diallo actually took place outside the area. So again, Man United were fortunate to get a 3-2 win there. And as I said, this system is not going to be the system that is going to get United into the top 6 for me. I think United need a change of system, which is going to coincide with changing the manager. And then I believe I'll have more confidence that this team will actually do something, you know. And again, you just go through the whole team, you know. If we're putting the keepers to the side, obviously Lamon's obviously new signing. Onana's still there. I think buy-in there might go out. But if we're putting the keepers to the side, I look at, you know, you've got Mazraoui and you've got Dalot, 2 proper right backs. You know, Mazraoui and Dalot can both play left back as well, if need be. So you've got those 2 players that can cover the fullback positions in a 4. Then you've got Lenny Yoro and you've got Matthias de Ligt, you know, 2 centre-backs. Then you've got Lissandro, who I believe, if he does come back, might be better in a 4 as well and can play left back. I think in a 3, I think Lissandro Martinez, you know, is a sitting duck, really. You know, I think there's for so many reasons, you know, he's a liability in the 3, left side of the 3. I think in terms of his pace in the wide areas, he hasn't got, and the physicality, you know, from the diagonal balls, he's gonna be found wanting for me as well. So I think, as I said, he can play left back and can play centre back in the 4. You look at Luke Shaw, can play left sided centre back and left back in the 4. Then you look at Aiden Heaven, the same as well. So yeah, I'm looking at all those defenders there, and in a 4, you know, I'd have more confidence that those 4 can figure it out between themselves. You know, there's a bit of pace in the back line there. You know, there's aerial dominance. Harry Maguire, another player as well. There's aerial dominance there between De Ligt and Maguire. You know, Lenny Yoro's good in possession, so is De Ligt. So yeah, I'll be more confident with this team in a 4 rather than a 3. Then we go into midfield. And again, I think what people need to realise as well is that Ruben Amorim, Ruben Amorim, for me, is making fans feel that there isn't a lot of options in central midfield with this system. This is what I truly believe, you know. I think in a four, as I said, you're going to have Kobe Minu, who comes more into contention for me as a central midfielder in a four, because you can play the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3. And then, as I said, Kobe can play as one of the two midfielders. And again, it's a different system, so the responsibility on Kobe in that position will be different. And obviously, in a 4-3-3, he can play as a, you know, as a left eight, box to box, or a deep line, or an advanced playmaker in that role. So he comes more into contention. As much as I don't like Ugarte, yeah, big up to Wyatt, man, from the US. Big up Wyatt for coming through. As much as I don't rate Ugarte, you know, I'm just basing it on what United have right now. I think Ugarte will probably be better in a four as well. You know, maybe if he's the more defensive one next to someone that's a bit more attacking, like a Kobe. You know, again, you got Bruno Fernandes in a two as well. I think with Bruno Fernandes in that 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3, the 4-2-3-1, he would possibly have to play as a 10. But again, I'd have number 10s ahead of him, so which means Bruno, for me, wouldn't be starting. And then you've got the 4-3-3, he can play as a right 8 for me. And then you've got Casemiro, who can do something similar to what he did at Real Madrid and play as the deep... he could play as the deepest lying midfielder, you know, more as the anchor man. And again, Casemiro will be using his experience to be in position a lot more. And when people are saying that, Casemiro, sorry guys, my cat just making noise. What's going on there? Oh, you're quiet. Guys, sorry, man. Sorry about that. But yeah, listen. So yeah, as I said, Casemiro, people are saying that his legs, you know, his legs are going. But again, if you just change the system and let Casemiro patrol, you know, the back four and use his experience and his leadership in that position, you won't need to see Casemiro running all over the pitch. And this is why, again, for so many reasons, this system is a killer. Because you're getting someone like Casemiro, who has never been a midfielder, that just chases all over the pitch. You know, he more or less holds his position. He's now having to adapt his game to this manager, and the manager's killing him, really. So this is why I'm trying to say, in a four, you get a more efficient Casemiro in front of the back four. Then you've got Kobe and Bruno that can play as two, you know, box-to-box or attacking number 8s. Then you've got Ugarte, you know. I wouldn't play Ugarte in front of the back four because I don't trust Ugarte, you know, receiving the ball with his back to goal. Even though Casemiro isn't great at that either, but he's more used to doing that, playing for Real Madrid. So, again, and this is where I'd bring in someone like a Sekou Kone as well. You know, let him get some experience in the first team, let him get some game time. And then I think that midfield, again, needs a lot of work done to it. But I'm just thinking to myself, you know, in a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, you definitely get better performances from these players, no doubt, you know. And big up to Robert Warima says, bro, players need to adapt, not the manager. Robert, that isn't true. And I'll tell you why it's not true, Robert, yeah? Because you have to remember, yeah, there is more players than there are of the manager, yeah? When a manager comes through, comes to the club, you know, his job, first and foremost, is to get the best out of the players. Otherwise, why is he here in the first place? You know, I see a lot of people say that the players have to adapt to the manager. That isn't true. That's not true. And let's not forget as well, Ruben Amorim doesn't have any credentials really in the game to be coming to a big club like Manchester United and demanding that the players adapt to him. And furthermore, you know, if you've got players like a Casemiro in your team who have won the big trophies, you know, who's highly experienced, it's not about him adapting to Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim needs to find how to get the best out of a player like Casemiro. And it's quite clearly not in this system. So I disagree, man, that players need to adapt to the manager because, as we all know, you know, if the manager isn't doing a good job, you don't get rid of 20 players. the manager always becomes the fall guy. So this is what I'm trying to say to you, man. It's not about the players adapting, and not to mention if the team are on a run of poor results, yeah, you need to find a way of getting better out of this team, and unfortunately, Ruben Amorim's stubbornness is not allowing him to go and do that, because by now he should have at least tweaked something, you know. And for me, it wouldn't be a sign of weakness. It'll be a sign of him understanding maybe I've got to change something to get the best out of this team, which he's not going to do. So this is the problem. Big up to YB Coombs. Big up to Wyatt. Wyatt says, Gav, what do you think of JJ Gabriel and Chido Obi? So yeah, JJ Gabriel is very promising, man. When I look at the likes of Max Dowman, that is in the first team squad now of Arsenal, I think JJ might be I think he might be 14, so a year younger than Dowman. But listen, from what I've seen of him, you know, he does look very promising. And again, I think it's important not to get carried away with younger players like that. You know, I think a lot of people now see Dowman and think if you've got a young player there, let's just throw him in. But I don't think that's the case. I think the ability that I've seen of JJ Gabriel, he's going to be a future star. There's no denying that. And again, if he keeps showing it in the youth, he's going to keep getting promoted. And then by the time you know it, he'll be in United's first team when he's ready. But again, the physicality side of it is going to be a test. So it's not about just throwing him in and just trying to force him into the first team. I think it's one of them things where, you know, give him some time to develop. And again, I don't want JJ Gabriel coming into the first team in the current state the team is at the moment. You know, it'll be better for him to come in where the team's more settled. And again, do I believe JJ Gabriel will be fluent in and positive in this system right now? I don't. So yeah, I rate him highly. I think he's going to be a future superstar. But let's let him grow first and foremost. And Chido Obi, for me, you know what it is with Chido, yeah? I think in terms of Chido's movement, you know, I think he's someone that will score goals. I just don't think he's going to be at Manchester United because I look at his actual ability, and for me, his actual ability isn't really there. You know, his all-round play for me isn't great. And I think for me, I'll just go along and say I'll be very surprised if Chido has a career at Manchester United. I'll be very surprised. I think he's got, you know, he's got the raw attributes at the moment, but I just don't think as a footballer, he's going to be what Man United need in the long term. And I can see him, you know, if he went on loan, let's say, and, you know, improved his all-round game, you know, his hold-up play, his technique and that as well, then I'd probably say, do you know what, he's got a chance. But from what I've seen of him so far, I don't think he's going to go on to become a Manchester United player in the future. I think he'll have a career in the game, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be in the Premier League right now. So, yeah. Jason says Sesko has to start from now onwards. I don't think he does, personally. I think, as I said, and you guys know my my thoughts on this already, the best front three, the most balanced front three for me is Joshua Zirkzee at the 9, and it's Mbuemo and Matthias Cunha. But again, for me, I don't want to see this system. I want to see a 4-2-3-1 and have Ahmad in the 10 with Zirkzee as a striker, Cunha on the left, Mbuemo on the right. I think that's the most talented, and I think that's the most interesting front four that we have in that system. And then again, you've got the likes of Sesko coming off the bench. You know, if it's not working with Zirkzee, you know, you can bring Sesko on to add a different threat. And this is why, for me, I wasn't really for the Sesko signing. But if we've got Joshua Zirkzee and we've got Sesko as the 2 number 9s, again, you can always you know, bring one in, bring one out in a sense, you know. But I'm not too fussed really, you know, with those two as options, because I do believe, you know, they both offer different things. As we know with Joshua Zirkzee, you know, he's a pure ball player. You know, he can receive the ball well in tight spaces. His link play is very good. You know, he's highly technical and he's physical as well. You know, Joshua Zirkzee is not someone that's going to get you 30 goals, 30 Premier League goals. He's not. But he will facilitate the attack. and allow the likes of Mbuemo and Cunha, who are wide forwards, to get numbers. And then if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, as I said, if you've got Ahmad in the 10, Ahmad can then go beyond him, and Ahmad's tenacious as well to get back. I think that's the best combination there for me. But yeah, no, I do think Sesko does need to get game time. But for me, I want to see Zirkzee starting because Manchester United are a better team with Joshua Zirkzee in it. So, as I said, I'm hoping this manager, I hope that he does get moved on in this transfer window, in this international break. And then we can see a change of system because I believe that's what needs to happen for this team to go on. But just going back onto the midfield, and then you go to the attack again. You've got in the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. You've got Ahmad and you've got Mbuemo as the two right wingers. As a left winger, you've got Cunha, Mason Mount. If he's still here, he can play out there as well. And then you got, as I said, Zirkzee and Sesko as the strikers. So, and in the 10s, you got Ahmad, you got Bruno, Mount can play in there, Cunha can play in there, Kobe can play in there. So again, there's options there for this team, in the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3 to thrive. And again, I'm not going to stop saying this. This needs to happen because I can just see under this manager that this team are not going to improve at the rate that's needed. And as I said, this system, how many more players do we want to give him? Because let's face it, like, if we're looking at recent signings, Zirkzee, Yoro's a new signing, you would say. Matthijs de Ligt, Manuel Ugarte, Zirkzee, Sesko, Mbuemo, Cunha, even Mason Mount. These guys are the more Patrick Dorgu as well. Sorry, on the left side as well at left back. These guys are more recent signings. So, as I said, I'm more interested in seeing what this manager can coach if he does stay here. And the fact that he hasn't been given the midfielder, don't get me wrong, I'm not really happy because I wanted a new midfielder. But it could be somewhat of a clever ploy by the club if they was to keep him, let's say, in now thinking, well, let's say you coach. And again, he's shown that he can't coach, which is why I believe in this international break, they actually part ways with him, and rightfully so. Big up to Jacob23 says, the answer is yes, they are capable if they do their jobs. Again, Jacob, this for me, this squad that I see right now is capable of a top 6, but not under this manager and not in this formation. I think different formation, you can see them competing at least for a top 6 place. And I'm confident of that, to be honest with you, Big up to Ramesses Pacheco says, do you think Man United stand a chance versus Man City? Yeah, listen, any team stands a chance. I mean, if we look at Man City, for instance, they've lost their last 2 games back-to-back against Tottenham and losing that lead against Brighton. So Man City are a bit fragile at the moment. I think the international break would have done them well because, it might give them a bit of time to reflect, I know Ryan Cherky's out for a couple of months now, so he'll be a massive miss. You'd think at home, City will be up for the game. Do I believe United can beat Man City? They're capable of beating Man City. But again, a lot of it's going to come down to this manager because, as we know, I can predict the team if this manager's still in charge. Put it this way: if this manager's still in charge, they don't beat Manchester City. That's the first thing. And if this manager's still in charge, we can already pick what team he's going to go with. I'm telling you this now. Mason Mount starts this game because of his legs. Bruno Fernandes starts this game. I'm not sure about if Cunha's fit or not. Mbuemo starts the game. Luke Shaw starts the game. Matthijs de Ligt, Lenny Yoro. Because they're away from home, I think he plays Dallo. I think he's going to play more or less the same team that he played against Burnley. The only change that he would probably make, again, if Cunha's fit, Cunha plays with Mason Mount and Mbuemo. So again, Sesko will be on the bench, Zirkzee will be on the bench. Because let's face it, this manager doesn't rate ball players really. And again, because he's forced to play Bruno Fernandes and he likes Mason Mount, it means Sesko will be on the bench because they're not going to drop Brian Mbuemo or Matthias Cunha if he's fit. So again, you can already predict what team he's going to play. The only change is whether he plays Ahmad and Dorgu, or if he plays. Sorry, the only change for me is if he plays Dallo and Dorgu or Dallo and Ahmad. That's what he's going to do. It's quite obvious what this manager does. But I do believe, if he does get sacked, then I could see him picking a different team. I could see a different team being picked. I can see a different formation being played. That midfield, we already know what's going to happen. He's going to play Casemiro and Bruno again. That's a fact, So, yeah, he's very predictable, this manager, and what he does. So, but let's hope by the time this game comes around, he's no longer here and we can see a different change in his system. Buckwheat says, Man United is capable of finishing top 6 if they get rid and sack Amorim and bring an attacking ball playing manager in. 100% agree with this. The best form of defense, guys, is attack. And we all know this manager is going to set up, just like Arsenal did against Liverpool. United are going to set up to not get beat. And I think that would be the wrong mistake against City. As we can see with City, they're very vulnerable at the moment. So the best course of defense is attack. Can I rely on this manager to play Ahmad, Dorgu, Zirkzee, Cunha, Mbuemo all together? I don't think he does. And again, changing that system, you can play all them players and they would have a much better chance for me in beating Man City. So, big up to Alphaville says, would Liverpool win Champions League and Premier League? I'm not going to say they're definitely going to win it. I definitely do think, they'll be amongst the favourites, because let's face it, the signings that they've done in this window, would lead everyone to think that. So I'm not going to come on here and say they're definitely going to win the league or the Champions League, but they've put themselves in the greatest position right now to be amongst the favourites, definitely. And again, let's not get away from the fact they haven't really played too well this season. But when you're getting 9 points out of 9, and you're bringing in Isak, Kirkez, who hasn't been that great yet, the same with Florian Wirtz, who I think is a top player, Ekatike, who's been great, Frimpong obviously is out injured. When you're bringing in players like that, then you can only get better. I mean, the Mark Guehi one, which fell through, I just wonder whether that comes to bite them, because Konate, Van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Giovanni Leone, all it takes really is an injury to either one. And the thing is, they're going to be hoping Virgil van Dijk doesn't get injured, because I think if Van Dijk gets injured, I could see them in real trouble, because they haven't really got that leader at the back. You think of Robertson, who might be another leader, but he's more of a bench option now. So they haven't really got that leader at the back. So they need to hope that Van Dijk stays fit, and then they'll have a good chance of achieving that. Big up to Leanne. Big up Leanne for coming through each and every time. Big up to KJ says, Onana has to leave. Listen, I don't think Onana goes anywhere, personally. I don't think he goes anywhere. I think Onana's going to dig his heels in, because I think Bayinde moves on more than Onana. And I think that with Sene Lamens, guys, I've already said this, Lamens is under pressure, because if you look at the criticism that both Onana and Bayinde have got, again, Lamens is younger than both of them. And all it's going to take is a bit of nerves, and a bit of pressure from the opposition. And if Lamens does let it go in, like the way that Onana and Bayinde has been, then he's going to be under the same sort of pressure. So this is why, in a sense, bringing him in is good in a sense, because by all accounts, the manager wanted Emiliano Martinez. The fact that the club are bringing in club signings and not signings for the manager is great news, because it means that this manager's on his way out. But I just think bringing in Lamens, again, is Lamens going to start the Manchester derby? Is he going to start? Because I don't think he does. Purely because if Amorim's here, then it's a pressure game, which he can't afford to lose. You know, so is he going to bring in a keeper that he didn't really want and start him in an away game against one of the favourites for the title and the Manchester derby? I just don't know, and I can't see it personally. So yeah, I think he's going to be under pressure, Lemons. So it'll be very interesting to see who actually starts that game against Man City. Big out to check this out says, not too interested in EPL, but it's crazy since Sir Alex United have struggled for stability. I know there are other factors. But again, the problem why United have been struggling is partly due to the fan base and it's due to wrong appointments. I mean, if you look at when Louis van Gaal came in, and I'll always say this, Louis van Gaal was building something at this club. He was. All you have to look at is what he had the under 23s and the youth team doing. They were all playing the same way as the first team, which made it, you know, a seamless transition for those players to step in and do the same kind of job. You know, and again, if you're a Man United fan, if anyone remembers when United went to Anfield, I believe Rooney scored the winner. You know, they played Liverpool off the park in that game. You know, people were saying it was boring football, but all you got to look at is what LVG was building. But I think this fan base got too impatient, you know, because Mourinho was available and because they were bored in a sense of Van Gaal's football. This is why the change happened. But Van Gaal has been the best manager since Ferguson has left, because between Mourinho, I know Mourinho won a couple of trophies, but if anyone remembers the Mourinho era, you know, that was a hard watch. You know, not to mention he fell out of a lot of players as well. Not to mention he played Scott McTominay in the defence against West Ham, you know, giving up the game. Solskjaer was lucky to be here. And let's face it, the only reason Solskjaer was given the job because he stuck his leg out in 99. Let's face it. And then we go on to, I'm not going to mention Rangnick because Rangnick shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. Rangnick should have been upstairs. Then we look at we look at Ten Haag, who was an absolute disgrace. And again, the fact that Solskjaer, Mourinho and Ten Haag have all been sacked within a week is mad. And then we look at Amorim, who for me is the worst manager out of the lot. So yeah, there are other factors, but there's no denying that Louis van Gaal was the best manager and should have been retained. No doubt. Because I believe if Louis van Gaal was given, you know, longer, I don't believe this club is in the state it is. You know, and let's not forget as well, Louis van Gaal didn't have half the money that all these other managers have had. You know, he was doing this with youth team players. So again, Van Gaal should have been the one, but it is what it is now, and we move on. Vanishing Rainbow says, I hope Sesko gets adapted to this team as it could be a game changer for us this season. I don't think it'll be a game changer. I think he's going to play his part. But guys, as I keep saying to you lot, yeah, do not be surprised if this is why this manager has to go, because as long as this manager's in place with this system, the likes of Sesko and Zirkzee are going to find themselves more on the bench, because all you have to realize is Bruno Fernandes, as I keep saying, is the biggest problem. Because if Bruno gets shoehorned into this team, it means that, again, if Bruno plays in the 10, yeah, it means you're going to play Cunha and Zirkzee, and Cunha and Mbuemo, which means you're going to have Sesko and Zirkzee on the bench, yeah, and Mason Mount as well if you want to play him. If Bruno plays in a double pivot, it means he now has to play with either Ugarte or Casemiro, because him and Kobe, cannot play in a double pivot because there's no defensive awareness there. You know, as I said already, Kobe's better in the 10 in this system, and Bruno's ill-disciplined. So I'm hearing people out there say that Bruno and Kobe can play as a double pivot. They can't. And if you think they can, then I'm sorry that you're not really getting how football works. You cannot play two midfielders in a double pivot like Kobe and Bruno, who both want to get on the ball or be ahead of the ball. Yeah? Bruno's only having to be slightly more defensive is because he's playing double pivot. But the reality is, Bruno shouldn't be playing in the first place. And Kobe in this system is killing him, which is why I keep saying, you change this system, you'll get a more a more happy Kobe, and you'll get a more you'll probably get more out of Bruno. As much as I don't really rate him, you'll probably get more out of him as well. So so as I said, Sesko and Zirkzee, don't be surprised if them two don't get much game time under this manager, because when Cunha and Mbuemo were here, they have to play because of what was caught, because they're the new signings and how much it cost as well. So this is the problem in this system. You can't play a lot of these players together, because when you're shoehorning a certain player in Bruno and he loves Mason Mount, don't be surprised if those two players don't play. It's a fact. So Jason says, we haven't bought Sesko to be a bench warmer. Sesko has to be the focal point with his height and strength for Cunha and Mbuemo to pump balls into him. But again, Jason, the problem is, this whole pumping balls into Sesko, again, that isn't his game, for one. And Joshua Zirkzee is more suited to the ball being played up to him and him holding the ball up. He's got more capabilities and he's got more of an all-round game than what Sesko has to go and do that. I think people are sleeping on Zirkzee. Zirkzee is probably the best footballer at the club. So when we're saying about pumping balls and stuff like that, I don't really want to see the team play like that. And as I said, Zirkzee he's perfect for Mbuemo and Cunha to be the facilitator. That's a fact. He's someone that can link the play and allow those two to flourish. And again, if you've got him and Sesko as the two options, again, if it's not working with Zirkzee, and then Sesko comes on and changes the game, etc., then again, by all means, man, Sesko will get his game time. But there's no way for me that Sesko starts ahead of Zirkzee. No way. Joshua Zirkzee is that good of a footballer. He will force his way into this team. But under this manager, he's always going to be found, having to prove himself. Because this manager, as I said already, doesn't like ball players. And this is what the problem is. Big up to Spiritual Poet, says Arteta out. Listen, Arteta should have been out 3 years ago. 3 years ago. That game against Liverpool, he come there to not lose. Rather than to win. And again, he got what he deserved, man. Joaquin Phoenix, big up, man. He got what he fucking deserved. Because I don't care, man. Liverpool were there for the taking for Arsenal. But when you're gonna go to Anfield and set up with Mikel Merino in midfield, again, the team that Arsenal went with, I predicted the same team. I said there'll be one change, and I thought Odegaard would have played, but obviously Odegaard wasn't fit enough, which is why Merino started. Again, people were saying, do you think Eze is going to start? I knew Eze wasn't starting. And I knew it was Madueke and Martinelli on the wings, because he was trying to use their pace on the counter-attack. Gyökeres up top, who was poor. So, yeah, I knew Eze wasn't starting. It was obvious. And the fact that Eze and Odegaard both came on at the same time, we all knew Eze was going to the left-hand side. But again, Eze's not a left winger. So this is why Eze should have thought smart in going to that club. Because if Eze would have went Tottenham, he starts in that 10 right now, which is where he plays. So, yeah, listen, I can't blame you for saying Arteta out, man, because he should have been gone 3 years ago. But it just shows you that the standards at a lot of these clubs in the Premier League are at an all-time low. Because if this was Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, PSG, any top club, he would have been gone a long time ago. This is the facts. So Yinju says, I need someone that can pass to Sesko. Well, listen, if you want someone that can pass to Sesko in that midfield, it's not going to happen. Because United don't possess those type of players. Kobe's not really a passer. He's more of a, in the tight spaces, more of a dribbler. Casemiro's probably our best passer, but he's not known for his passing. Bruno just hits long balls, and Ugarte is terrible. So, again, from that midfield, you're not going to get any passing really into the likes of Sesko, which is why, if you change the system, Not only like the system change will mean, you know, the passes going into the front man will be different, especially having like a number 10 in Ahmad who can slide through balls or dribble from deep. This is where it changes for me, you know. Big up to Lumi, big up. So Lumi says, Gav, do you like international breaks? Do you know what? I hate it. I can't stand it. You know, the only time I don't mind the international breaks is if England are playing. I want to see England play the likes of France, Spain, Germany, Holland, Portugal, Brazil, Argentina, whoever. I want to see them play them in friendlies, because when we have to watch them play qualifiers against the likes of Andorra and these countries, no disrespect, like they should be beating them teams like 8-9-0, you know. So yeah, it's boring, man, the international break. I can't stand it personally, you know, but it is what it is, man. Big up to Jay, says Liverpool's about to finish the story hitting 21 league titles. What a Cody Rhodes and WWE storytelling. Yeah, big up Jay, man. I think at the moment they are favourites. There's no denying that. You know, I'm still gonna say Man City will have something to say about it, and who knows, Chelsea. But as it stands right now, man, when you're a team that's not really playing well, and you've got 9 points out of 9, and you've made the signings you've made, then listen, man, you must be doing something right, you know. Big up to Guy Fawkes, my hero. Says, man, who you get defo getting relegated. I understand that one. So Spiritual says, Arteta has ruined Saka. Listen. Whoa. Not just Saka, yeah? Let's talk about Ethan Nwaneri. You know, I said at the start of the summer, when there was talk about Nwaneri not signing a new contract, I did say, if Nwaneri's clever, he'll go on loan somewhere and leave the contract not signed. Because this manager is not going to play Nwaneri as regularly as he needs to. Nwaneri's 18 years of age now, and again, the stage of development that he's at, he needs to be getting more game time than he's getting. But I did say Nwaneri wasn't going to play at Arsenal. And the fact that he's signed a new contract, you know, is poor, because he's seen 15-year-old Max Dowman come from nowhere. And Max Dowman, you could arguably say now, is ahead of him in the pecking order. Because the fact that Dowman come on, because let's not forget, Nwaneri can play out on the right-hand side as well. But the fact that Dowman came on and Nwaneri was on the bench tells you all you need to know in how Arteta sees Nwaneri. He rates Dowman higher than Nwaneri, because away to your so-called Premier League title rivals, he brings on a 15-year-old, and a guy that's got more experience than him, you know, that's been trying to get into the team, was left on the bench. So again, if I'm Nwaneri, you know, because I rate him highly, but he must be kicking himself, because he's now arguably last choice in terms of the pecking order, because Odegaard, Eze now is ahead of him, Saka, Madueke, Martinelli, Trossard, they're all ahead of him in the pecking order, and you must say Max Dowman now as well. So yeah, it's odd, man. He has ruined a few. He has ruined a few players. I mean, Saka's now going to keep getting injured because he's been overplayed. That's just obvious. This is why, you know, when people were saying about Arsenal going out to go and get a right winger to not only that's better than Saka, someone that can make him push for his place, that never happened, which meant Saka had to keep playing games, and now he's picking up injuries. You know, who do we blame for that? Guys, come on, there's 71 of you in there at the moment, 19 likes. Let's smash those like buttons up, guys. And sub to the channel if you're new in there as well. So Guy Fawkes says, Slot has to get another United boss sacked after another thrashing. Well, listen, for my sake, let's hope the manager's not here by the time that comes around. Because I'm saying this now, Man United's next 2 games against City and Chelsea, if this manager somehow survives this international break, you know, he's going to be under even more pressure when it comes to them 2 games. So I just hope United do what's required, man, if I'm honest. And again, what a game for Donnarumma to come into as well. What a game for him to come into. I fully expect Donnarumma to start against Man United on his home debut. I fully expect it. So what a game for him to come into. Mad. So it's Nobiz says, it's not the manager. How many managers are we going to sack? Well, you keep sacking until you get the right one. That's the answer. It's Nobiz. That's the answer. And again, I've used this before. Yeah. And Nobiz, if you're still in the chat, I've used this before. If you've got a business, yeah, and you hire someone, you hire a manager to run your business, and he's losing you money, you know, and you're not performing, he's not performing to the best of his standards. What do you do as the owner of the business? Are you going to keep him in charge because it's too early, or we keep sacking people, or are you just going to sack him and get to the right person? Because ultimately, you can't be losing money. So again, that's just the obvious way to look at things. The facts are, Ruben Amorim doesn't deserve more time. He's had 40 odd games since he's been manager of Manchester United, and it's been the worst that the club's ever been in. So he doesn't deserve more time. He doesn't. It's a fact. So the answer to that is to keep sacking until you come to the right guy. Louis van Gaal was the right guy when Ferguson went. Not David Moyes, not Mourinho, not Solskjaer, not Ten Haag, not Amorim. Louis van Gaal. So that's where the problem was. But right now, I can honestly tell you, this manager right now is not the manager for Manchester United. He never will be. So as long as INEOS do what's right in the international break, it's good news. King Vegeta says he'll play 5 defenders. Yep, no doubt. I think the team, if this manager's still here, and you've heard it here first, he's going to play Dalot. He's going to play Patrick Dorgu. He'll play Luke Shaw, De Ligt, and Yoro. I was thinking Harry Maguire, and the only reason I was thinking Harry Maguire is because of Harry Maguire's aerial ability. But I think Luke Shaw I think he plays Luke Shaw, De Ligt, and Yoro if this manager's still here. That's what he'll do. And then Dalot and Dorgu. I don't think Ahmad starts that game. Even though Ahmad scored... He scored 2 goals against... Was it 2 goals he scored against City last time, or was it 1? I just don't think Ahmad starts. I think he plays Dorgu because of Dorgu's power and pace. But again, let's hope he's not here. Yeah, big up to Lumi, man. Yeah, big up Lumi. Yeah, listen, man. As Lumi said, man, yeah, obviously my previous footballing career, yeah, played against Wayne Rooney when I was 14, and the same Samir Nasri. So, and obviously, yeah, Rio, I played against him recently, 5-a-side. So, yeah, man, some good experiences there, man. Some very, very good players, man, you know. But, yeah, big up Lumi. I think Onana is just used as a scapegoat. Just listen, we all know why Onana is used as a scapegoat. By no means is Onana, you know, blameless. But to be honest with you, the criticism that he gets, I do think is exaggerated a lot. Because if we've got Rasmus Hojlund, I know Rasmus Hojlund's gone out the door now, but I think people are forgetting that Rasmus cost 72 million, which is more than Onana, and showed up with 4 goals last season in the league. You know, so for me, the criticism for him is over the top in comparison to what Rasmus gets. So, but we all know why that is, you know. We all know why that is. Big up to Liam, says goalkeeper at United is one of the highest pressure jobs in world football. It probably is. It probably is. You know, I think as a keeper, it's all about instilling confidence into your team. You know, if you've got a dodgy keeper, that's bound to make your team shaky because you're now having to think, you know, we've got to get more goals because you can't trust the one that is at the back. I hear all of that, you know what I mean? But I do think the criticism for Onana is over the top, you know. But again, Lamens is coming now. Let's see what Lamens does, because I can guarantee you this, the fan base have now set a precedence that You know, if any keeper comes in and is not doing what's required or makes a mistake, they should be getting criticised and under pressure, you know. Ryan Higgs says, how we left the midfield untouched when it got ran through more times than Lana Roades last season is unforgivable, bro. Yeah, listen. But you have to ask yourself this, Ryan, yeah? The midfield is the midfield is the way it is, but because of this manager. Because I can guarantee you this now. If he plays a free in midfield, the midfield's not getting ran through like Lana Roades. It's not. Or like Bonnie Blue. It's not. You know what I mean? So this is the manager's issue. You know? If you've got a midfield which isn't, you know, isn't compatible with each other, why are you going to play a 2 in there? You know? Or at least just change the system and go to a 4. You know? But he wants to play this double pivot. It's on him, man. It is definitely on him. So Ryan says, how can you call Ten Haag a disgrace when he won us our first 2 trophies in 6 years? Easy. Ryan, if you're still in the chat, I'll tell you why he's a disgrace, you know? And this is only part of it, yeah? He had the cheek to play a front 3 of Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Hojlund. I don't think people deep how bad that is. That is a front 3, yeah? That is a relegation front 3. And a lot of people probably won't actually know why I'm saying that, yeah? When you've got a front 3 like that, yeah, who A, have no ball retention, yeah? B, there's no real quality there. And C, you would say at least 2 of them are shoot-first players. That's the worst front 3 I've seen. The best out of all 3 of them is Rashford. And even Rashford, you know, obviously lost his way. But to play a front 3 of those 3 and have Bruno Fernandes again in behind that, that's why he was a disgrace. Not to mention all of the poor results this manager got. So I don't give a damn that he won us 2 trophies in 6 years. That means nothing. Manchester United as a club should be winning trophies with the money that they spend. You know, that's a fact. The money they spend, they should be winning trophies without doubt. But when you're playing a front 3 of those 3, and let's not forget, that was his favoured front 3. You know, he should have got sacked for that alone. Because if anyone that really knows their football, you do not play that front 3 for so many reasons. There's no balance there. And then you got Bruno Fernandes in the 10 behind that. Criminal. You got 4 players there that have no ball retention. You know? How do you think you're going to win games like that? You're not. So that's why it's a disgrace. So changing the manager won't make any difference. Players are weak and not interested to play for the club. Again, that's just a nonsense comment. And I'll tell you why it's nonsense, yeah? Because that's a generic comment that a lot of fans will just latch onto. So the players are weak and not interested to play for the club. Who, for a start, what players are weak? Are they weak physically or weak mentally? So let us know what you mean by that. For one, not interested to play for the club. I mean, you could lever that at some players, you know, but I don't believe any players step onto the pitch to say they're not going to play for Manchester United. That's not what it is. This manager is setting them up in the way which you can tell they're not comfortable with, you know. So again, to say changing the manager won't make any difference, it will. It will make a difference. Like that's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard. That's just you defending the manager because you like the manager. If you like the manager, then fair enough. Just come out and say you like him, then we know where we stand. But to say no manager will change that is a complete lie. Because, as I said, the manager's the biggest problem at this club. And until people actually realise that, you know, we're going to keep going around the same circle, you know. So, but again, let's hope that the manager's gone by then anyway. Big up to me, says, I'll be 100% real with you here, Gav. This United team can get top 4 easily. Just not with Amorim in charge, unfortunately. Bro, I agree, man. I agree. I'm going to be honest, though, yeah? I'm going to say top 4 might be pushing it a little bit. And I'll tell you why, yeah? Because if we're looking at City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle or Arsenal, I do think those teams will be the top 4. I do think that because of the They've all bought players in to start with. And I just think it might be a bit of a tough task for them, for United to overcome those 5 teams, personally. But what I will say, if they change this system, the formation, they'll have more of a chance than with this manager in this system. That's what I believe, you know. Because I think this formation is a massive problem, you know. The manager's not going to change it, so change him. That's it, you know. But no, listen, I think top 4 is you know, 1 game a week. I hear it, but top 4 is a bit of a push with those other teams, you know. But again, changing the formation, who knows? Who knows? But we got to get rid of this manager first. So, how is Amorim the worst manager? Explain yourself. Right. Let's go. Big up to Nobiz. Let's go, yeah? So, before he took over Manchester United, yeah, Man United were 4 points off of the top 4. They finished 15th, yeah? That's one reason. Where else? They lost a Europa League final to Tottenham, yeah, which a Tottenham team that don't really win anything. And let's be honest with you, as bad as Ten Haag was, he would have beaten Tottenham in that final. That's 2 things. I believe since Amorim's taken charge, and again, I could be wrong, but I heard a stat the other day that Manchester United have scored 2 open play goals in the Premier League since Amorim's taken over. That's 3 things, yeah? Before the Aston Villa game last season, I believe he had 9 points in 2025. That's the 4th reason. The 5th reason, he has 8 wins since he's become Manchester United manager in the league. What else is there? 6th reason, he got beat by Grimsby Town playing 5 at the back. I'm pretty sure there's more. So I've given you 6 already, and there's more. So that's why. Brother, your opinions are your opinions, but damn, this is a crazy shout. Yeah, listen, man. For me, it's not crazy. I don't think it's crazy. But big up. Sorry, another one. 31 points from 30 games. Poor. So yeah, listen. People can want Amorim all they want. The reality, the stats, the facts are there. You can't hide from the facts, you know. So it is what it is. So Lumi says, was Carlos Tevez good at United? I cannot remember him. Carlos Tevez was a great player. I mean, this is what I'm trying to talk about. Carlos Tevez, Wayne Rooney, both in one team. Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, all in one team. Berbatov. Like, this is what I'm trying. This is the level. And now, and then we had to watch under Ten Hag, Garnacho, Rashford, and Hojlund. Disgrace. Absolute disgrace. So I think a 4-4-2 would work great at United. Zirkzee is as the false 9, Sesko up top, Cunha left mid, and Mbuemo right mid. You know what? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you, like, I can kind of see what you're saying, me, yeah? But I'll tell you why that probably wouldn't work. Is because Mbuemo and Cunha are not right mid or left midfielders. They're not right midfielders or left midfielders. Cunha is a forward. You know, he's a left 10. He's a left winger, a number 10, and can play as a 9 as well. Mbuemo is just a pure right winger. So if you're playing 4-4-2, yeah, you're gonna have to play those 2 as midfielders, which they're not. So that's why it won't work. Unless you're gonna play a 4-2-4, which is very gung-ho attacking, and you've got Cunha as a wide left winger, Mbuemo as a right winger, and then you got the two strikers. So again, that will never work because you haven't got those profiles in those positions that are naturally midfielders. You know, if you've got like a David Beckham or a Ryan Giggs, then having those two as strikers, yeah, that could work. But not when you've got Mbuemo and Cunha, who are, you know, they're wingers really, or forwards. Big up to Fan Neando, big up. Guys, come on, 48 of you in there at the moment, 25 likes, smash the like button, guys. And make sure you sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. Big up yourselves, guys, big up. I would love Palmer at United, though I can't lie. Of course, but again, Palmer's a Man United fan, but getting him out of Chelsea, I would say he's near enough impossible. So, yeah, at the moment we can dream, man, but top player. Yeah, top player, man. So Hedgie says, do you agree Liverpool have A-list attackers and Arsenal have B-list other than Saka? For me, when we're saying A-list, yeah, again, this is a good question because when I'm looking at A-list, I'm looking at top tier, yeah? If I look at Liverpool's attackers, again, we've got to be subjective on this. If we're looking at numbers over the last few years of in terms of goals and assists, Mo Salah is an A-list player in terms of numbers. As a footballer, I'd probably say as a footballer, he's probably a B or a C. But for numbers-wise, he's an A-list. Alexander Isak has now been signed. I would say, again, his numbers haven't been Mo Salah numbers in terms of consistency, but he has scored goals since he's come here. I would say, if you're looking at his ability and his goals combined, I would say between an A and a B. Again, Salah's in there because season in, season out, he does get the numbers, yeah? But as a player, I don't really rate him that highly. So, but we would say A-list in terms of the numbers. I would say Isak at the moment is a B. If he does it this season, he'll go into an A. Ekatike, I would say, again, is a B because he's got to prove it over a couple of seasons in this league. Gakpo, for me, is probably between a B and a C. So, yeah, Salah, Ekatike, Isak, Gakpo. Yeah. I'd say the only one that's probably an A is Mo Salah in terms of goals. Arsenal, they have Gyökeres for me, who is again, he hasn't proven goals in this league, you know, but I would say in terms of ability, I think he's a C. I'll say Gyökeres is a C. I think Saka's a B. Kai Havertz is a B or a C. Martinelli is probably a D. Trossard is probably a B or a C. So, yeah, Arsenal, for me, don't have an A-star player in their team. They don't. Mo Salah out of the two teams is the only one that can be argued against being an A-list. And that's because over the seasons, he has got numbers, which you can't deny. But, yeah, no, you know what, Hedgie? Great question, man. Big up. Great question. I like questions like that because these are the kind of questions that I don't see too many people having. And again, it's not a straightforward question. So it's, yeah. But big up, man. Big up the chat as well. Big up the chat. So Hedgie says, Man U have nothing but number 10s. Mbuemo, Cunha, Bruno, Mount, Ahmad. And again, Hedgie, Bruno Fernandes is not a 10. You know, the amount of people that think Bruno's a 10 is actually laughable. You know, he has never been a number 10. Solskjaer and Ten Haag played him in a 10 position. But just because you're playing in that position doesn't mean that you're actually a number 10. He's actually a number 8. And as I keep saying to people, there's a reason he has a tattoo of number 8 and wears number 8 on his back. You know, because Solskjaer and Ten Hag played him there, that doesn't mean he's a 10. He's actually a number 8. But I agree. They do have a lot of number 10s in there. They do. But again, in a 4-2-3-1, you know, the one player that I want to see in the 10 is Ahmad. And then seeing Cunha and Mbuemo either side, and then Zirkzee. And again, those three can interchange. You know, if Ahmad wanted to go out to the right, you know, and let's say, I don't know, Cunha wanted to go into the 10 or Mbuemo to the left, mix it up. Those three there can interchange, no doubt. But I would love to see Ahmad just start in his position as a number 10. Look at when Ahmad was at Sunderland, what he was doing for Sunderland in that 10 position. And then we have to watch this guy play as a wing-back under this manager. Only this club can do that, you know? Turn a number 10 to a wing-back. It's embarrassing. So Liverpool's attackers better than Barca attackers. Well, for me, Lamine Yamal's the best out of all of them. So I would say Salah, in terms of a footballer, is not better than Yamal. Numbers, again, we can have that argument. Rafinha, to be fair, if you're looking at on that left-hand side, you've got Gakpo. There's no point in putting Rio in there because he's still young. So is Rafinha more proven than Gakpo? You would say, yeah. Through the middle, Lewandowski, you can't argue against him, even though he is getting on a bit. So, yeah, I'd possibly say, collectively, Barca's attackers, I mean, Ekatika's come through there now. I think in terms of numbers, Liverpool might have slightly more. But in terms of collectively, I'd probably say Barca's. Because Yamal, Rafinha and Lewandowski is a very good front three. But then again, Salah, Isak. I mean, if we're going to say Gakpo, because is Ekatika going to play there? I don't know yet. Yeah, listen, there's not much in it, put it that way. But the one standout for me is Lamine Yamal. He's the one standout for me. Yeah, big up Hedgie, man. I'm a Man United supporter. Who does GE support? Who does GE? Who's GE? Well, if you're meaning me, man, I'm a Man United supporter. But big up. So Lumi says, I'm annoyed that everyone is making Liverpool favourites because of Isak. We have Gyökeres. Yeah, and Gyökeres is shit. Thank God we never signed him, Lumi. But listen, I'm not hiding my joy that we didn't sign, that Man United didn't sign Gyökeres, because I didn't rate him from the get-go. And as I said, I think he's got a lot of convincing to do, to be honest with you, because I just don't rate him as a player. You know, I just don't rate him. But listen, he do I believe he gets do I believe he gets goals in this league? I mean, Arsenal at home, you'd expect him to get chances, but he's not going to be the missing link to take Arsenal anywhere. I just don't think as an all-round player he's good enough, you know? So yeah, listen, I heard about that. Grimsby looking at getting fined 20 grand, apparently, for fielding an ineligible player. And I'm hearing Man United might appeal. You know, I don't think United should appeal. I think them appealing because Grimsby fielded an ineligible player, even though they beat them, even though Grimsby beat them, I think that brings more embarrassment to the club, if I'm honest with you. I think United need to just, you know, take their medicine, as Roy Keane says, and just keep it moving. Because if they appeal this because an illegible player against Grimsby Town, I think that's more embarrassing than anything, if I'm honest. So I'm hoping for United's sake, they just take this one and just move on. Because if they appeal that, man, I think that's a disgrace personally. Because it's Grimsby Town as well. They shouldn't need an illegible player to get them to overturn that result. So MTXP3 says, I cheated on my girlfriend with her grandmother. Well, you're going to hell, man, because that's just criminal. You can't be doing that. That is crazy. That is crazy. You're going to hell, man. I have to say, man, with her grandmother. With her grandmother. What is she, like 80, 90? Yeah, you're going to hell, man. Let's move on from that. That's crazy. So Angie's going Leverkusen, if reports to be believed. Didn't see that one, but listen, I do rate him as a manager, possibly. I think he's good. I do think he's good, but the thing is with Tottenham, I rate Tottenham because, you know, he won the trophy for them, their first trophy in how many years, and then they just said, look, it's not good enough, and they go and get Thomas Frank. So again, at least they're showing intent to not rest on their laurels and be better. You know, it can be respected, man. Definitely. Bring me Iraola. Yep, I'll take Iraola. Iraola, Xavi. I want Zidane, man. I've always wanted Zidane, but and imagine if Zidane come to United, yeah, and he's got Casemiro still there. It's not gonna happen, but we can all dream, man. So me says I can't stand Shaw. Heaven is levels above him. Yeah, listen, Luke Shaw's been there, what, 10 years now. And again, getting rid of Luke Shaw is hard because he's on, like, what, 190 a week. But if Luke Shaw's still here and he stays fit and he comes in every now and again for the games, then fair enough. But I think someone like Luke Shaw will be gone at the end of this season. You know, I wonder how long he's got left on his contract. He can't have long left. But the fact that he was given a 190 grand contract to a left back is the problem. It's the same reason why Chelsea can't get rid of Ben Chilwell. Because whoever gave Ben Chilwell a 200 grand a week contract as a left back, I'm hoping they've been sacked right now because that is poor to be doing that. Yeah, big up to Chris and Mark, man. Big up, man. If you're still in the chat, big up yourself. Guys, come on. 52 of you in there and 29 likes. Smash that like button and sub to the channel. Let's at least hit 30, guys, as a minimum. As a Liverpool fan, I say Amorim in. Yeah, listen, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? So, DXY son of fan says Amorim is the guy. It's just a matter of time, I think. Listen, DXY, you're not wrong, man. It is a matter of time till he gets sacked. I agree, man. I agree. Big up to GS Erdem 1905, Galatasaray fan. Big up. So Daniela says she's looking forward to seeing Isak play for Liverpool. Yeah, listen, his first game is away to Burnley. So yeah, I wonder if he starts actually because he's had no he's had no pre-season. So I wonder if he actually starts. I reckon he comes to the bench. I think they'll keep the same team and he'll come off the bench. And I think he'll get his first start at Anfield against the next opponent, whoever it is. So Jay says relegation front three is Saka, Martinelli, and Gyökeres. Yeah, if I'm honest with you, yeah, that three there is not a. That is nowhere. That's not even a top six front line there for me. It's not. That's not a top six front line for me. Nowhere near it. So A says Mbappe or Cristiano. Again, it's subjective, man. Like, what does that mean? Mbappe, Cristiano. Like, I think Mbappe is a Cristiano Ronaldo kind of replacement in this era of football, you would say. But again, what does it mean? It's subjective. When people ask these questions, it's like it depends what you're going on, because anyone can answer that question in a different way. So Hedgie reckons Man U won't get top 6 in my opinion. Not under this manager, it won't. I do agree with that. But I think, you know, as I keep saying, change the manager, change the formation, and I'll give them a chance. Even without that midfielder. I definitely do believe that. So Chris Mark says, if the new keeper, is as good as Martinez, then I see Man U finishing in the 9th to 12th region myself. Nah, me personally, yeah, it's difficult because even under this manager, this team should be finishing between top 10 and top 8 for me. But as I keep saying, the system and the manager is going to be what's stopping the club from doing that. So this is why the manager needs to be sacked. This is the reason. So yeah, this is the reason for me. But who knows? We have to wait and see what happens. So Gary Neville said United will finish above Chelsea, and I agree. I don't know about that. I think Gary Neville is just talking, man. To put it this way, yeah, I would love it to happen, but I don't see that personally. I don't see that. Not under this manager anyway. Yeah, I can't see that. I can't see that. So Victor says my top 4 is Liverpool, Chelsea, City, and Arsenal. Yeah, I think that's probably everyone's favourite top 4, if I'm honest. For me, I think they're the most likely top 4, not in that order. I think the only team really that can challenge that top 4 is possibly Newcastle. You know, possibly Newcastle. I would love it to be Man United, but I'm not too sure yet, man. And the reason I'm saying I'm not too sure is purely because of this manager. Purely because of that. So, yeah, who knows? Yeah, listen, Hedgie, man. I'm pretty sure since Amorim's come to the club, again, I could be wrong, but I heard a stat the other day saying that United have scored 2 open play goals in the Premier League since he's become the manager at Old Trafford. Yeah. Crazy. Big up to Jack Fury, says, Man United is no good at the moment. It pains me. Yeah, listen, man. All we can hope, man, is that they're on their way back, you know, but a lot of it depends on his next 2 weeks for me, you know. I would 100% say, you know, I can see us coming back if they do what's required and sack this manager. I'll definitely say that. But if they keep him and make the same mistake they did with Ten Haag, then I'm not going to be happy. I won't be. So let's see. Big up to Ducky Roblox. Big up to Dean as well for coming through. Guys, come on, smash the like button if you're in there. There's 58 of you in there, and there's 32 likes. Come on, smash the like button and sub to the channel, guys, if you're enjoying the content. Remember, the content is free, guys. You know, it's free content. And again, if you're enjoying the content, you know, this is a real channel. You know, no holds barred channel. You know, we say our own opinions on here. And again, if you guys enjoy it, make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel. Big up. Big up to Sham each and every time as well. So big up to me, says, would a 4-4-2 work or 4-3-3 with a cam work? Zirkzee cam, Cunha left wing. Yeah, listen, for me, 4-3-3 would be better than the 4-2-4. Because I think 4-2-4 is probably a bit too gung-ho for my liking, really. The 4-3-3 allows you to get Kobe playing in his best position, you know, as a left 8. You can play him. It just means that someone like Ahmad obviously will be competing for the right wing spot, you know. But again, there's going to be times where injuries are going to happen. and a change of formation. I just want to see a manager that's adaptable. This manager is just so persistent on playing this 3-4-2-1, and it means you can't get your best players on the pitch, which is a killer. So yeah, 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 for me. If you play the 4-2-3-1, I'd love to see Ahmad in the 10. And the thing is, people might say if you play Ahmad in the 10, he hasn't got the physicality, which is a complete lie, because Ahmad works very hard, he's very tenacious, and he's physically strong as well. And when you got Bruno Fernandes there, I don't want to hear no one tell me that he hasn't got the physicality, because Ahmad is arguably stronger than Bruno. So, again, that's something I'd love to see, the 4-2-3-1. So, Chrism Ark says, it's going to take that long to get the dead wood at the club. I disagree, because if we look at the fact that Garnacho's gone, thank God, Hojlund's gone out the door, thank God. Guys, some of you might not like this, yeah, but Jadon Sancho, I can see Sancho being reintegrated back into this club. I think the fact that they've extended his contract, again, they don't lose him on a free. I think he has a good season at Aston Villa, and then the new manager comes in and likes Jadon Sancho. So listen, you've heard it here first. Don't be surprised if Sancho comes back and there's like a glimmer of hope that he kind of gets reintegrated. Because I believe if he comes back and has a good season, the first things are first. Because let's not forget, Jason Wilcox had him at Manchester City before Sancho decided to leave. So Sancho might come back, have a word with Wilcox if he has a good season. And who knows, it might be a case of reintegrating him back into the squad. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but I think it's one to watch, So, yeah, you look at that. You look at Rashford out on loan. Again, these players coming back, who knows? They could come back to the club and get a second and get another chance. Who knows? But the likes of Bruno, for me, I believe goes at the end of the season. I would love to keep Casemiro, but he probably goes because of the contract, the wage that he's on. And again, if you get rid of Bruno and Casemiro, you're freeing up about 600 grand a week of wages. Not to mention, Ugarte should go 60 million off the... Obviously, he costs 60 mil. You try and get rid of him. Then who else is there? Harry Maguire signed an extension. So he might go, who knows? Luke Shaw, probably a bit moved on. Mason Mount. I think a lot of these players come into contention to get moved on under a new manager. So I believe next season, there will be a lot of wages being freed up. I definitely do believe that. With some of the players that are on loan who might come back, or some of the players currently in the squad. Dallo might get moved on as well. He'll be another one. Onana, another one. Buy in there, as I said. So yeah, there'll be a lot of players getting moved on for me. So I think United will be in with the money, man, come next season. I do believe. Big up to Stephen Moore. Big up, man. Big up. Yeah, as me said, look, over 500 grand a week saved on wages. There you go. There you go, man. As I said, man, I think Man United are going to be having a lot of money, I believe, next season with some of the wages, some of the money they're going to save. You look at Lindelof, he's gone. He's at Aston Villa now. Christian Eriksen's wage is gone. So yeah, I'm optimistic, man. I'm definitely optimistic. So Chrism Ark says, what's the best league in the world? You know what? This is a great question. It's a great question. And again, a lot of people need to understand this, yeah? When people say, what's the best league in the world? It's not a straightforward answer. Because if we're looking at the most entertaining league in the world, it's the Premier League, in terms of there's a lot of teams that can compete for certain places in the league, yeah? But that doesn't mean it's the best league. It's the best league in terms of entertainment. If we're looking at the best technical league, you're looking at the Spanish league. The way they play, in terms of, majority of players in that league are highly technical, in that Spanish league. Then you look at what's the most tactical league. You look at the Italian league in terms of defending. You know, that league is very, very tactical, you know. Then we look at the most physically demanding league, the physicality. You probably look at the Premier League and look at Ligue A as well. I think the Bundesliga is probably a bit of entertainment and I wouldn't say physicality. I don't think the Bundesliga excels really at anything that stands out, because the tactical is, for me, is the Italian league. Technically, it's the Bundesliga. It's La Liga, and the physicality, you're looking at the French league or the Premier League, and entertainment. So the Bundesliga's probably a bit of everything, but nothing standout, I would say. So that's when people ask these questions, a lot of people will say the Premier League is the best league in the world, which is not. Because technically, this league is poor, you know. And all you have to look at this season is some of the games that have been played, yeah. And I think this is the first season that I can see a lot of teams that we're not expecting to be up there challenging for certain places. Because I haven't seen one standout team this season. You know, it's been a lot of poor games as well. So, again, technically, this league ain't the greatest, you know. Big up to Lewis Jackson as well. Right, guys, we're going to wrap up in a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to go through some more of your questions. But as I said, big up to yourself each and every time. Make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel if you're enjoying it. Big up. So Lumi says, Gyökeres C, Saka B, Kai C. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, in terms of being an A-star player, like the A-star players are players like Lamine Yamal, Pedri, players like Vitinha, you know, Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembele, Fabian Ruiz is probably an A, and I'll say the A player. Moises Caicedo's an A player. Again, there ain't too many A-star players in world football. Cole Palmer for me is an A-star player. Again, the list is difficult. Right, I'm going to go through some more of your questions and then we're going to wrap up, guys. But big up. Yeah, big up Lewis, man. Guys, come on, 34 likes. Let's try and hit 40 likes if we can. Okay, there's 48 of you in there. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Remember, it's free content, guys. Come on. So if Liverpool's front three and Barca's front three mixed up, it would be Rafinha, Isak and Yamal. You know what? I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, Lewandowski would be in there if he was probably in his prime, you know. But again, I prefer the inverted. I prefer right footers on the left, left footers on the right. So in that sense, you know, Rafinha would get in there, even though he is left-footed. But I prefer the inverted personally. But if Lewandowski's in his prime, then it's Barca's front three for me. Yamal, Lewandowski, and probably Rafinha, yeah. So who would you get rid of if you could get rid of 3 players from United? Easy question, easy question. The 3 players I'll get rid of, number 1 would be Bruno Fernandes. Number 2 would be... Yeah, the 3 players I'll get rid of from Man United are... Number 1, definitely Bruno Fernandes. Number 2 would be Luke Shaw. Number 3 would be... between Mason Mount or Manuel Ugarte. Yeah, for me. Before it was Hojlund, but he's gone out the door, and Garnacho, so they've gone, so they're not issues now. But Bruno Fernandes is the undoubted number 1 that I'd get rid of. And then you got Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw signals mediocrity for me. And then you've got the likes of Ugarte, who I don't rate. And then you've got, as I said, Mason Mount, who wears number 7, 60 million he costs is on 250. The thing with Mason Mount, if Mason Mount was number, let's say 26 or 27, well, whatever number, it's apart from 7 basically, and didn't cost 60 million and was on that money, he wouldn't be a massive problem. But it's the fact that he wears number 7, you know, and again, this manager chose to bring him on at wing back, left wing back, and give him some pathetic instructions on that board, insult. That's why for me, he's a problem, you know. So yeah, them 3 for me. Good question, though. Big up to Ammo as well for coming through. So Onyadika says, top 6, talk about surviving relegation. Well, listen, man. This I think under this manager, anything's possible. Because that Burnley game, again, I didn't watch the whole game, you know. But I see the first half. And to be fair, it was an own goal. And it was more the same shit. And then they get a lucky penalty. Man United get lucky penalty. So I can't really be satisfied with that. So if we're struggling against newly promoted Burnley, I mean, what are we going to do against these other teams under this manager? So yeah, big up to Loom. He says, how was the stream with Zedra? Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen the stream yet with Zedra, we done that one yesterday. Make sure you guys give that a watch, man, and big up Zedra. Yeah, give that stream a watch. And again, if you guys want to follow Zedra on his Twitter, it's in the description. So yeah, make sure you guys give him a follow, and yeah, give that stream a watch, man. Again, man, he's someone that has, you know, very good footballing opinions, which I respect. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, man, go over there and watch that stream and give him some support as well on his Twitter. But big up. Big up to Matthew as well. Big up to Crawley Eagle. So Graxy says, "Hey, big man, can I ask you something to do?" So Crawley says, "Gav, do you think you'd beat Joey Essex?" Listen, if he wants it, he can come and get it, man. Like that's what I would say. Guys, I forgot to tell you guys actually. I'm gonna be getting in the ring again actually. So for cancer research, you know, ultra white collar boxing. So I start my training, funny enough, in October. So I think the event is in December, I believe. So yeah, I'll be getting back into the ring for that one, and I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, getting some much needed fitness back again, and yeah, some focus, man, which is what I need. So yeah, make sure you guys keep an eye out on that as well. So I might be vlogging some of the sessions as well. I'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to get back into the ring in December time. So yeah, you guys got something to look forward to. Some of you might want to see me get beat up. I don't know. But yeah, listen, I'm looking forward to it. Big up to Black Mojo King says, I don't get how United fans peddle mediocrity with Scammering. Bro, you know why, yeah? I'll tell you the reason why, yeah? It's because the way Amorim speaks. Like, because Amorim speaks the way he does, a lot of these fans feel close to him. But the reality is, he don't give a shit about these fans. He cares about himself. Because if he gives a shit about these fans, he would have changed this system long time ago. Because for me, you know, I wouldn't look at Amorim any differently in terms of he come here to play his system and he's not doing well with his system. I would respect him a lot more if he just thought to himself, you know what? I come here to try and play a certain way. It's not working. Let me at least change it. He's got no interest in that. Not to mention he plays the same old players, his friends, and the performances are poor. The results are poor. Just get him out of it. That's why, you know. But I think a lot of fans just like the way he speaks. But for me, like he's a gaslighter, really. Let's face it, you know. He's very emotional, and fans are emotional as well. So a lot of fans feel close to him because of that. But not me, man. I see through his nonsense. The fact that he told us that Kobe Manu is battling with Bruno for a place in the team in training as well. And then the fact that he brings Bruno on to play with Kobe against Grimsby Town, that's a coward's move because he only done that because it was Grimsby Town. Because I can guarantee this now, against Man City and Chelsea, if he's still here, he's not playing Kobe and Bruno in the midfield too. I can tell you that for free. So he only done that because it was Grimsby Town and he knew that Kobe couldn't have come off because the noise around him that he wanted to leave on loan, etc. You know, so that's why he did that. He's a coward, the manager. And that's all there is to it. So Lewis says, really not a top 6, Gav. That is bad. Yeah, listen. I'm not going to lower the standards though, Lewis, man. I think top 6 is where we should be aiming for. Do I believe we can get top 6 under this manager? I don't. I don't even think we can get into the top half under this manager. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. Big up to ITN. Big up. Oh, so who's got a grade 3 tear hamstring? Who's got a grade 3 tear hamstring? Yeah, big up to Reluctant Gamer, man. Big up. He's always on there anyway. Big up, Gamer. So Lumin says, anyone see Jamie Carragher's comments on Amorim keeping his job because he's good looking? Do you know what though? Yeah, I know what Carragher means because he's a young manager and he talks the way he does. This is why a lot of fans are into him. Imagine if he was no disrespect, yeah. Imagine if he was someone like, I'm trying to think now. If anyone remembers Gary Megson, yeah. Imagine if he was Gary Megson or his name wasn't Ruben Amorim, he'd be gone a long time. So these things do play a part. I'm telling you, the way he talks, he's Portuguese, you know. It is, man. Like these things play a part, man. I can guarantee you, and no disrespect, yeah. If he was from somewhere like Moldova or something like that, he'd have been gone a long time ago. Let's face it, he would have been. But it's because he's from Portugal, and you know, it's a nice place to go on holiday, and that he talks the way he is. He's young. These fans are just fooled by all this nonsense, man. It's ridiculous. You can't fool me though, because I see through all this bullshit. Yeah, big up to Black Mojo King. Said it perfectly. You don't need stats to show we're playing better. If you need stats to convince you we're better, then you're deluded. Can't even give us back-to-back wins, yet people chatting about stats. And guys, this is why, when I mentioned to you guys about Bruno Fernandes, yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Even Mo Salah as well can be into that, yeah? Stats have ruined the game because people don't care about performances no more. It's just how much numbers you're getting, whether it's goals or assists. And Bruno Fernandes is the prime example for that. And this is why football's in the bin right now. Until we go back to an era where we care about performances and not numbers, numbers should be used as a bonus. But for some reason, it's been used as the measuring stick to try and have an argument for players for and against. And this is why it's an absolute joke. But this is football for you right now, man. This is why, I forgot his name who come on the other day. You guys might remember. I forgot his name now. Was it John? John Ionu, I think his name was. Yeah. This is why he come onto the channel and started trying to tell me that Jack Grealish has 17 goals in 167 games. Now, although Jack Grealish is a top player and by his standards, he should be having more goals than that because of the kind of player that he is. But the fact that he's looking at Jack Grealish's numbers just shows you all what's wrong with football. Because he's a player you don't look at by numbers. He's a player, you know, he'll make your team win games because he attracts players. He attracts the opposition to the ball, which creates spaces for other players. You know, and this is where if you're a real football guy, you will know these things. So again, John, if you're in the chat, man, that's one to think about because The fact that you think Grealish is shit because he's got 17 goals in 100 and something games just shows me you're looking at football for all the wrong reasons. Because he's a player that you don't look at for stats. Because he was instrumental in Man City winning that treble. I'll go as far and say Man City don't win a treble if Grealish isn't at Man City. So that's it. 3-4-3 is my favourite position, but you have to adapt to it. Again, Valentin, big up for coming on. But people keep saying 3-4-3. Man United are not playing a 3-4-3. I don't know why people think Man United are playing a 3-4-3. They're playing a 3-4-2-1. The reason they're playing a 3-4-2-1 is because the two players that are playing in the 10s are 10s. And they're not playing as wingers or inside forwards. They're playing as 10s, which is why when this manager plays Brian Mbuemo there, Brian Mbuemo is a winger and should be playing in the 4-3-3 or even in the 4-2-3-1. But he's playing Brian Mbuemo as a right 10. Brian Mbuemo has never played as a right 10 before. The only person that is, if you're playing Mbuemo and Cunha's a 10. He is. But Mbuemo's a winger. So he's even getting the profile of players wrong. You know? So United are not playing 3-4-3. They're playing a 3-4-2-1. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap up now anyway. Apologies for not getting to everyone's chat. But listen, big up yourselves for coming through each and every time. You know, we got 43 likes. There's 55 of you in there at the moment. Guys, if you can smash that like button if you've enjoyed the content. And also sub to the channel. And check out all my other content on there as well, guys. Check out my posts as well. There's some very good posts on there as well. You know, there's one I've done recently. You know, who's the best English striker of all time between Harry Kane, Wayne Rooney, Alan Shearer, and Michael Owen. So again, yeah, make sure you guys vote on that and put that in the comments. And as I said, it's much appreciated you guys coming through to the channel and interacting. Big up to all the mods each and every time. And big up to all the newcomers as well. So, yeah, it's much appreciated. Guys, I should be back tomorrow morning at 11:30. Hopefully. If not back tomorrow at 11:30, I'll try and give you guys a stream in the evening again tomorrow. And again, I'm away from Friday as well, but I will be streaming once as I'm away. So yeah, keep an eye on the schedule, guys, and keep an eye. Make sure your notifications are on as well. And as I said, yeah, keep supporting the channel, guys. It's much appreciated. Again, obviously, want to try and get this channel monetized as soon as possible, which I'm not far from doing. I think I'm what? I want to say, what are we on now? I think I'm about what? 450, I would say, away from 2K subs. So again, if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you do. And as always, keep your support coming through, guys. It's much appreciated. As I said, I'll catch you guys either tomorrow at 11:30 or maybe in the evening. But as I said, yeah, keep an eye on, put your notifications on to see when I go live. And big up yourselves and watch the other content. And again, make sure you interact with the posts. Give me your comments. And make sure you vote. But yeah, guys, big up yourselves each and every time. And I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.